What's up, everybody? Welcome to the No Nonsense live stream. It's Yaga. How are we doing this fine, fabulous Wednesday afternoon, morning, if you're in a different time zone, right? I'm doing pretty good. A little tired, but can't bitch, moan, and complain too much about it because my fault. Work late. Everybody have a good week. There's much to talk about today. You're like, well, what's that, man? Make sure I'm actually going here. Sometimes this thing is just ridiculous.
Sometimes this thing.
There we go.
Ridiculous.
Perfect. Okay. Well, today is a 60th No Nonsense live stream. Not that it matters, but today we're talking about men and women, the yin and yang. Some things might be good, some things may be bad, but we're just going to talk about, truths and facts and things like that, and how men need women and vice versa. And first off, let's start with what a yin and yang is. Yin comes from, I believe it's the 3rd century BC. I don't say BCE because it was BC, and that's what I know. It's the female or earth part of the symbol, which also represents darkness, passivity, absorption. The yang is the male, masculine side, light, heaven, activity, penetration. So men and women, I truly believe, are a lot like, the yin and yang. One needs the other. And as one increases with that symbol or entity, whatever you like to call it, the other decreases. So, for example, if feminine is getting too high up, the masculinity decreases. If masculinity is getting too high up, the feminine decreases. And this is like a true binary system that it exists. You can't argue it. It's real. And I know because 1, I'm a dude, and 2, I grew up with 2 sisters and a mom, so I was exposed to a lot of feminine energy. A lot of modern day feminine energy, which is like shopping, materialism, girly shit, rainbows. I didn't have the brothers to get out all that masculine stuff, but I still got it out. Me and my sisters would brawl like we were fucking men. Like, me and my older sister used to beat the shit out of each other, but then 5 minutes later hug it out. We're like, it's cool. So the yin and yang tend to balance each other out, right? This is where I think men and women, especially in today's world, have come into this weird, we're too feminized today, to the point where, since yin and yang, one increases, one decreases, the feminine is way too high. So the masculine side now is way too low. But I like to think we're in that middle of the pendulum turning, where people are starting to realize, like, all right, enough's enough. It's enough complaining. There's enough groups. People take your problems seriously, but now, all right, take some responsibility. Go. Activity. The masculine side's starting to rise, I think, again, but not in the ridiculous way, because you can't have either one, be too dominant. It's like, I always use that example of like the Vikings, right? Vikings were just fucking men who just killed, raped, and fucking conquered shit, like all masculine. They're like, we're gonna kill the weak, take your women, we're gonna rape them, we're gonna kill them, and we're gonna plant our seed in them so we can survive. Like, that's too much masculine. And the story of yin and yang is actually very interesting, because it comes from, they were born out of chaos. So if you're a Christian, you can just use the story of Adam and Eve, right? Same shit. Yin and yang are born from chaos. And it's fascinating, very intriguing. I tend to look for the similarities of stories of humankind and different cultures around the world, because there's so much more similarities than there are differences. They're just different names and titles, But people always assume that what they grew up around is what they know, and this is it, and this is the way of the world. You know, if you grew up Christian, you pretty much believe Christian. You know, had I grown up in India, I might believe in Hinduism. You know what I mean? You only know what you know based on what you're at. I have found that if you expand your mind a little bit and research and dabble into some otherworldly, either philosophies, religions, call them what you will, just do a little bit of like, you know, looking. You'll find that they are way more similar than you're led to believe. And they may all spawn from the same place. Who knows? I think it's intriguing and I think it's fun to talk about. So we live now in a world where anything masculine is considered controlling, manipulative. Just telling the truth is abuse. It's like, no, it's not. You know, it's not. When you tell anybody, man or woman, what they're doing, like their behavior is fucked up and they should stop, that's a good thing. Like my generation was kind of like the tail end of, and just calling the truth out like they saw it, but also like the beginning of everybody gets a trophy. You're all special. Let's care about everybody's needs. Nobody, you know, can accept their place in the pecking order, myself included. You know, I did everything when I was a kid. I joined karate. I did the Cub Scouts, all the dumb shit that we're exposed to, and I dabbled in all this stuff. Never won the Pinewood Derby. It hurt my feelings. I'm not gonna lie. My Pinewood Derby car was never good enough. But looking back on it in hindsight, it gives a shit. It made me. It gave my character the ability to grow in other areas later on in life that are strengths now today. And those strengths I use, and I'm very aware of the weaknesses, and I know my place. When it comes to men and women, you know, we're living in a crazy world where, you know, they want men to literally become women, and vice versa, and that's just insane. It's pure lunacy. And it's great when you just sit back and watch it unravel and collapse on itself, because that's what nonsense does. Nonsense to weak-minded people sounds good for a while because people can't think for themselves, and they'll buy into it for a little bit, and then eventually they eat themselves from within. And we're seeing it now. It's great with, like, you know, a guy who transcends whatever, transitions into being a woman now, competes in sports and dominates, right? Because men are just, no matter, even if it's the weakest of all men, if he becomes a woman, he's still pretty much stronger than 99% of all the women out there and can do those things better. And it's not fair, it's not just, but that's what happens, you know. It's not balanced, and it can't be balanced. Like it's a binary that you can't manipulate through the will of man. It doesn't happen. You know, binaries exist, you know, male, female, light, dark, good, evil, men and women. It's there. And you know, you just can't be men, ladies, and it's killing the ladies. And ladies, men can't be women. You know, we feel things differently, we view things differently, and we react differently, and that's okay. But that's why there's the balance of the yin yang, the men and the women. Men need women, women need men, man. I used to think when I was a kid, when I used to see my parents, you know, my parents would argue. So I absorbed a lot of like negative energy when I was a kid, but also there was a different side to that. It wasn't all bullshit, but when you're young and you get to adolescence, all you remember for some fucked up reason in this world is the bad shit. But there was a lot of good, and I remember the good. There was a lot of love. You know, my dad always partook in everything that I wanted. Like he would chaperone me and be a Cub Scout leader. He did my softball thing. My mom was just, you know, I was her boy because I'm her only son. So again, she loved me well, and there was always a balance between my parents that I didn't see until I got older. My father was the enforcer, like the guy who's like, you can get away with a few things with your mom, but you're not fucking getting away with anything with me. So we were terrified of my dad, which sounds bad, but in hindsight was fucking great because it allowed me to know that I can't just get what I want. I have to abide by some kind of order or rules. And that was my dad's rules. And it wasn't like they were strict. Man, I got to go do a lot of things that I didn't realize. Like my family was pretty loose with, like, we had rules, but they were loose. My dad would say no to everything. He was very, like, ask my dad anything. It was the first answer, no. And then you go ask my mom. She wasn't a pushover, but she would give in, obviously, a lot easier than my father would. But she would enforce too. Like if you pissed my mom off, I mean, she would put down the hammer. She didn't just, it wasn't just like, oh my God, but that equal force of my dad being the enforcer and being like, that's a fucking enough. And then my mom knew when she had overstepped her bounds that my dad would step in and be like, no more fucking bullshit right now. That was a nice demonstration of masculine and feminine energies. And everybody comes from different walks of life and families. And I understand that. And families are complicated as shit. We can all say, and when you get, I've realized in society now, especially in families like with mine, people bitch, moan, and complain about their parents being the problem and then refuse to take any responsibility as they become adults for their own fucking life. Were my parents perfect? No, but I don't blame them for a lot of my issues today because most of my issues in the last, since I've been an adult have been my issues. I chose these things. I did them, not my folks. They did the best they could. There was a lot of undisciplined discipline. We could pick apart the wrong all day, but they did a lot of things very fucking well. They taught me to, stand up for yourself when you need to, but don't go looking for a fight. My mom taught me how to treat women well when I did treat. And I also grew up with two sisters. So I love women. I just hate what they are. I do. I love women, but I hate how they can be, By that, I mean, their nature is to find a protector or provider because on their own, they will die in nature. Without society, women are dead. In today's society, you take out the men because they'll give you free money and all this stuff. And that's true. There's welfare, there's WIC, there's all kinds of shit that helps the women out. But the men, we're fucked. We really are. We become fucked. And if we try to be men, we're labeled as either, we're fucking, we're assholes, we're misogynistic. Name the list. And that's not true. Just don't take any bullshit from nonsense. And I don't, in my life, condone any bullshit. Like if it's true, it'll reign true. But if it's just flat out nonsense, I have to call it out and say no. See, that's the balance. And sometimes the females don't know that. Women of the species are very emotional. It's okay. I get this now after 20 years of dating two sisters and a mom. I understand that you just can't get women to be like you and you cannot be like them. Though within each one of us, we have yin and yang. Men and women have masculine, feminine energies, both of us. I have to be more masculine than the women. It's not good when a woman's more masculine than a man. And you see this in certain marriages or relationships where the woman's bossing the dude around. He's like, okay, like he's got no balls. But then there's the other extreme to that where, the guys, I don't know if the guys are overbearing as much. I don't know. It's hard to say. But you can totally see when the woman's just calling the shots. And today's society says the women should call the shots, the happy life, happy wife, happy life. And that's just, it should be an equal playing. If you want to be equal, it should be equal in the sense of we work together as a unit. The man does protect and provide, but you're responsible for the other shit at home. The old way of life, like the way my grandparents lived, wasn't so bad. But somewhere, within the 20th century and the induction of feminism, we really fucked ourselves over. Because what women were taken. Actually were more respected decades ago than they are today. Now, a lot of people are getting divorced saying, why do I want to, men are like, why would I want to be in a headache where I have a chance to where I have acquired some financial stability and things like that. Why would I want to risk that for somebody who just wants to take it all but doesn't really care to provide the other half of the relationship? Because it's half. You know, if you could take half your stuff, where's the other half of the relationship? And my point of this is, it's not the women's fault. You know, it's not. The women in this world have been poisoned to the point of such that maybe it's generations of poison. It's not like, oh, this just happened in the last few years, like we're seeing all this crap, you know, like with the Me Too's and all that. No, this is just, you know, where the pendulum hit the peak. Now we're seeing that, and it's making a bad name for women, because now any woman who's just got some hurt feelings said something, and they're destroyed these poor men's lives. So those men now are learning from that mistake. And what do men do when we learn from our mistakes? We go, don't fucking do that again. No, thank you. I've already been beaten every which way to Sunday, so no thanks. Why would I want to do this over again with you? Like, you have nothing to offer me. And that was the thing. And women back in the day, all they had to offer was the procreation, the sex. Now in today's world, it's like love, companionship. Let's talk. And that is true. I like coming home to my lady and being able to share my true feelings and not have to just put on, you know, be a little bit more vulnerable and not just put on the man face and shit. Like, for example, this is how masculine energy works. Monday, I put my cat down, right? He is an animal. He was my friend of 8 years. We all have connections towards animals and pets, right? And I went by myself, and all the people working in the vet were all women. The two front women at the desk, young ladies, and then the doctor came in, the nurse, they're all ladies. So women, they're all working in this pet environment because they have that emotion for animals, for humans, for all kinds of stuff. Like, maybe we can help its leg. And, you know, men are more like, take it out. It's going to take the whole thing down. You know, we have that different look on things, and that's okay. Because you need both. You need both. And this is the whole point I'm trying to say. You need the yin and the yang. They need each other. That's the yin and yang coexists. They depend on each other. You can't have one without the other. Bitter without the sweet, man without the woman. You can't make everything female, and you can't make everything male. It doesn't work. Society, the world falls apart, and we start all over again. So I'm in the vet's office on Monday to put my cat down. And of course, I am emotionally distraught. You know, I'm getting a little bit, I could feel it bubbling. I kept it together in front of the nurse and the doctor as the cat was being put down and injected with, you know, if you never put an animal down, I'm sure you know how it goes. They sedate him, put a couple things, he's gone instantly. And she's like, you can have, you know, as much time as you want. She's very, very empathetic to my feelings, right? And I go, yeah, a couple minutes. And then, you know, I said my goodbyes, and then I said thank you, and I walked out. And then on the way home, yeah, I let it out. I got it out, because sometimes men do cry for that pain. I would do the same thing if, you know, that's just an animal, let alone if it was a person in my life. But you don't show it right away. And I'm not saying don't ever show your emotions, but you got to keep your shit together. You can't panic, right? Men and women need each other. This is supposed to be a video to let, you know, this isn't a hate on women. I fucking love women. I'm really trying to help both sides here. Ladies, be grateful for what you got. And I think this is where my hatred came in for society, today's society, women, because I grew up with my mother, who, though my parents were balanced in discipline and responsibilities world, my mom was never happy with what she had. I saw it all the time. She would complain about something. My father would eventually give it to her, and then she'd be like, well, it's not exactly what I wanted. And I was just like, man, he's working his, like, I could see it as a kid. I'm like, he's working his fucking ass off to pay for everything here. Because it was old school with my parents. My mom had a part-time job. My dad paid all the bills. You know, back then he could still have a normal job. My dad was a fucking meat cutter. I come from a regular working middle class, lower middle class family. I'm nothing special. This is how I like talking about this. My parents gave us everything. We had it good. Um, this is why today I like to think less is more. You know, I don't need all the bullshit. I don't need $1 million in the bank. I don't need a giant house. I have everything I need. Everything after that is want. You know, I'm grateful for what I have. And if you can, women should be grateful for what they have today, because it's going to get taken away, not by a relationship or that, but by society eventually. And it is. You had it good a long time ago. Now you made it worse for yourself to the point where the only things you're going to have are going to be these freaking relationships where the men just don't want a part of it. They're going to be too scared to do it. Men are just going to bond with men and do men shit. And then women are just going to have their groups of hens and just pluck and talk shit about the world. And they'll have money and they'll be fine, but they will grow up honestly with a hollowness. There'll be some bit of hollowness there without that companionship, that union. I think so. And even if it's not a long-term relationship, men and women need each other. Simple as that. One cannot exist without the other. Women cannot have kids without men. Men cannot have kids without women, right? The women do all the work, but you can't get pregnant without a man's penis, right? I mean, those are facts. It's like the reality of the situation. I love reading the articles about the tranny fucking woman that was a dude that's going in the sports and is just killing it, where he's coming in, just dominating records. Like, yeah, what'd you think was going to happen? Like this guy, I'm not even the strongest dude, but I can overpower most women. I'm sure, unless they are like a 6'5" fucking bodybuilder. Yeah, maybe they could take me out. But 99% of women, I am just physically stronger than. You know, I could join the women's league and be better. And it's like, are you surprised that a dude who was once like a lower end shitty athlete in his field became a woman? And now he's just crushing? No. I mean, that's what happens with this stupid ass false reality that people try to create. Like, oh, we're all just the same. No, we're not, man. Hawks and pigeons. We're not all the same. Men are not women. Women are not men, but we do need each other, man. I need the tender love of a woman. I need her to calm me down sometimes, because if I'm left to my own devices and I don't have that love of a female who can see things a little bit more compassionately than me, I'm a dictator. You know, I got my invisible river and pillow and I'm just smothering everybody, because that's how men are. It's how I am. Fuck your bullshit and fuck crying. But I also have a really big sensitive side growing up around women. I grew up with, like I said, 2 sisters and a mom. I'm really into Christmas shit right now, so I kind of have that part of me. It's very feminine. I understand that, but I'm not ashamed to admit it. But at the same time, I'm also very like masculine psychopath. Like, don't take my shit, I will kill you kind of deal, you know? I'm that kind of protective. It's in me. It's not something I can get rid of. Just like women can't change their nature, just like men can't, you know? We could try to fluff everybody up, but if you just accept your role, life is great. You know, ladies in the Western world are they're too pampered now. They don't experience the reality for what it is, and they just assume that everybody can be wonderful and be taken care of. It's like, no, dude, there's good, there's evil in this world, there's a light, there's a darkness. It all lies within each person, man and woman, and you have to embrace both sides and know they exist. Don't pretend they don't exist, and don't pretend like I could walk around and be man all day, because I can't. You know, I can't do that. But I can't walk around and be super lovey-dovey. I got shit to do. I got things to create. I got ideas. I got, you know, and when I've got all this creative ingenuity, I was always brought down by women. Like, you should be more down here. It's like, I understand being humble and down to earth, but at the same time, I have to quiet. Fucking dogs. Dogs being dogs, man. And now I went from a cat who never made any noise to that. Hold on. Quiet! Hey! Oh, see, that's what happens. When you leave the dogs out, you think they're going to be okay? No. They're being dogs. That's the other thing I can't stand about society with the too feminine stuff. Everybody's got these little dogs. We're in a townhouse. The poor fucking things are miserable. They deserve to be in a field chasing around chipmunks and shit. If you own a dog and you live in an apartment or townhouse, and I'm calling myself out on this, you're an asshole. Those animals don't deserve that. And you think you owe it to yourself because they're your pet. I felt really bad for my indoor cat. You know, my cat always looked outside. He wanted to be outside hunting. Like, that's his natural instinct. He wanted to be outside hunting. He saw the birds every day. He's just looking out the window like, I want to catch that motherfucker. Like, it's built into him. Just like there are things built into men and women that you can't deny. And society goes, no, deny those really awesome instincts and shit like that. Just deny it. No, those are there. It is actually torture to have an indoor cat. You should at least let them go outside half the time and let them come back to you. You know, if you're going to have one. And dogs, they should, if you don't have a piece of land or at least a fucking backyard, in my opinion, you shouldn't own a fucking dog. I live in a townhouse. Everybody has fucking dogs. All these big dogs, little dogs, and they're all walking around crapping in the same spot. Like, doesn't anybody not think that's weird? It's fucking weird. Anyway, that's for another day and a rant that's not very no nonsense. See, that's nonsense. You don't need the pets. But I understand it. Animals are fucking awesome. Connect with them. Nature, great. You know, men have to be allowed to lead the women. They have to. That's what we do. We lead. We're innovators. We do that. Women left alone have no idea what to do. They'll go to the one thing that sounds promising to them to survive. Honestly, if Santa fucking Claus appeared and told the women, I'm your savior, they'd be like, oh my God, it must be true. And I'm not saying women are dumb, but that's just how they're wired. You know? And men, we step back and think like, this might be bullshit. I don't trust this person. Let me look into this. Is this right? You know, that's when our instincts kick in. We're logical thinkers. We're protectors. We have reason. We're inventive. We have ingenuity. Women do too. That's why if you can have a companion where you guys have an even flow, a balance of that, because if you have those energies balanced, the yin, the yang are balanced, you'll be in harmony with everything around you. But every time you fight against those things, you're only fighting with nature and yourself and all powers of the universe, right? You're fighting against these instincts that are in you. And this is why you see women going insane, becoming bitter old people, divorce, entitlement, but yet they're still bitching that they're not happy because they've had plenty of good men. Men just want to have a good woman, have a family, be simple, live a decent life, grow with a companion in life. And then they have these women who just fucking, they give them everything and then they just kick them in the balls and take it from them. And it's like, you can see why people don't want to do this stuff. But you have to make the decision in your own life and not pay attention to the societal norm. But that's what's happening, right? The societal norm says like, you know, you should be, you know, feminism is gays and prides and blah. Neither pole in the yin and yang is superior to the other. It's just not. They flow, man. Have you ever looked at the symbol? You know, it's the constant circle. It's got the dot. I like to look at it as the white being good and, you know, the black being evil. And there's a spot of good in each of them. And each one can kind of grow, you know. But once you achieve the balance of that, you're in a harmony. You know, men have to be men. Women have to be women. You know, my lady, like sometimes she had this idea that when we started living together, like our mornings were going to be a certain way. No, That's what she wanted. My mornings are a different way based on what I need because I have to have this disciplined structure for myself. I know myself and what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do, and I need to have that. So there's so much, like, if you just stop fighting that instinct within each other, you get to understand uh the opposite sex so much more. Like, I understand that women, why they're like that. I get it now. Growing up with two sisters and a mom, and enforcing dad, I was actually kind of balanced because even my mom had the masculine side. Like, she cared, but she was like, don't fuck. Like, she had a limit of her fuck around. Again, not the nobody's fucking parents are perfect. I've never met a family that wasn't fucked up one way or another. No matter what pretty clothes you wear or car you drive, some families got a fucking history of crazy shit happening. Somebody had a drug problem. Somebody was raped. Somebody was molested. Somebody got too drunk at a wedding and fell down the stairs. Like, there's always something that can embarrass or shame or do something with a family. So if you ever think you're better than people, you're not. And if you think you are, you're definitely a problem with yourself and how you view the world. I have literally hung out with all kinds of people, rich, poor, and we're all people. The one thing I could say is women, no matter where they come from, they're women. They're just in their nature. You can't reason sometimes with them. You just have to kind of accept it. But I also don't accept the way society says I should listen to the women and not put my foot down and lead. It's like, no, I will lead the house. I will lead my woman. I will never put her in harm's way intentionally, ever. Ever. Because that's how much I actually do care. And I love my woman and I love my sisters. And it's the same way. If they put themselves in harm's way, I'm there to be like, you're about to do something fucking stupid. So watch your ass. And I'm the one who sits there and goes, no. But it's just, no. I'm like my dad, no. That's, the older I get, the wiser my old man actually was. He was a very simple man, but he was wise beyond his years. And I couldn't see it when I was a kid because I grew up in this fucking society that told me to be like, do a bunch of things, be distracted, fucking, win, don't win. Here's a trophy, Pinewood Derby. But my dad didn't buy into societal bullshit. He gardened. You don't need it. Love a woman. It's fine. They are what they are. Just accept them. And like, he's like, he knew because he knew his own instincts and he never got corrupted by the societal shit. He still doesn't even have a cell phone. My dad's never owned a cell phone. People are like, and everybody, right now say, oh my God, how can you not have a cell phone? I'm like, there was a fucking time, and it wasn't that long ago, that nobody had one, and people were fine. People were actually probably better off without that fucking thing. So, you need a companion, men and women. We need each other. You don't need to fight. I don't need to become more like you, and you don't need to become more like me, but we have to balance out those energies. And women know when they're being too feminine. Like, oh my God, I can't believe, like, there's evil. And men go, no, evil exists. It's there. We're going to show you, but don't worry. It's not going to hurt you because I'm fucking here. That's what men do. And the other way around, I'm like, I'm not going to like your fluffy, dumb, girly, stupid rom-coms. And I don't want to watch it. I'm not wasting my time. And I don't understand why men do that. And they're always like, well, you got to just give in to what she wants to make her happy. I'm like, no. Like, what is she doing in return? Is she doing anything for you? Did she give you kids? Is she taking care of them? Women are so much better at taking care of children than men. So much better. It's just natural. And if you think like men need to pay more attention to the children, no. My dad did what he needed to do with me, but he fucking was a dad. He wasn't my buddy like society told me he should be. He was a father. He's like, you're fucking up. This is what happens when you fuck up. And people were like, oh my God, I can't believe that. I'm like, because you don't know a world of pain. Because you don't know good if you haven't had the bad. You don't know sweet unless you've tasted bitter. I get that. I understand that today. You need that. And if you've always had sweet, when bitter hits you, dude, it throws those people through a fucking spiral that they may never recover from because they have no idea. Or they get wise, they learn from that, they retain that situation in your mind to recall upon when it returns in the future. Or not, or they just keep doing the same shit over again. Let's see if this time in the chaos wheel will work, I don't know. But my own experience of life tells me from my parents who weren't corrupted completely by societal dumbness, they were balanced. And that's what you need. The single mom shit doesn't work. You can't have single parents. You can't have one perspective. You need both because one way or another, at some point in life, the laws of the universe balance it out whether you want to or not. It just happens. It will happen. If now everything's so feminized, I think the pendulum's going to start swinging the other way. It's already begun. Not in like this crazy, weird, destructive type world. It's just like people are just finally aware that a lot of stuff is crap. Shut up. Moving on, Leave the weak behind. The strong will survive. And there's nothing wrong with that. You really want a world full of weak people? I don't. It's an insult to all my ancestors who got here before me that I exist and I would become weak. Weak-minded is what I mean. Not like weak as I need to be a tyrant and destroy the fucking world around me. I'm saying like I don't need to be weak in my decisions and abilities, and to be a leader I can be. I'm that confident in myself. And it's not arrogance. People like to instill that men are arrogant, that they don't know what they're talking about. I'm like, I actually do. And when people try to tell me what's in my head when they're not there, it tells me a lot about them. They're very fearful of their own world, that they're terrified. Those people are weak-minded. Those people are easily controlled and manipulated. I feel for them. And if you don't want to be one of those people, you're not getting mad at what I'm saying right now. You're probably shaking your head and agreeing with a lot of things that I've talked about. If you're getting angry, you're full of a lot of poison. And how that poison gets withdrawn from you is up to you. There's not enough external forces in this world to help, get that poison out. You have to make the poison come out by your choices and decisions. How that happens is entirely on to you, ladies. Men too. I don't think it's that whole like let's just bond together and say fuck women. No, I love women. I really do. I love my woman, even though she's rough around the edges sometimes and like anything. But I think after 20 years of dating, they're all that way. And they're programmed in this world to be that way from society. Their instincts are being blocked away from societal nonsense, And that's okay. But here we are. The struggle. I wouldn't say it's a struggle. The story of life continues, and it's actually kind of nice. I like seeing where we're going. I'm not fearful of it anymore, and I'll keep doing what I need to do because truth and honesty serve me well, and that's really all there is. Yin and yang, man. You can't be too much of the one or the other. If my female tendencies get too high within me, I have to balance it out with some masculine shit. And the other way around, if I'm too masculine, I have to remember to talk to other people, get compassion for others, know that there are other people dealing with things and pain in their own life and their own struggles and things that I'm good at, they may not be good at. And, it's like there's such a vast array of endless things that people can talk about or relate to. And it's just, it's fascinating to me. Men and women, And people are like, no, it's just about love. I go, love is not men and women. I love women. I hate them too. I just hate what they are, not them themselves, but what they are as how, if they can get, you can't expect anything in today's world because the ladies have been so poisoned by nonsense. Poisoned. You've really been poisoned, ladies. Poisoned to think like you can do what men do. Poisoned to think you can go to the work and sacrifice being a mother for your job and not have it take a toll on your mind and your soul. It's just, it does. I've seen it. I've lived it. I know women my age, they are struggling, not with their finances, you know what I mean? And it's rough. And then the men who are trying to be men are shot down and chastised as being insensitive assholes. It's like, no, I'm actually a pretty sensitive dude. I just don't care what you think I should think because it's not going to change. Because you can't change instincts. I can't, as much as I had my cat indoors for 8 years, I couldn't change his instincts to want to be outside hunting stuff. It was naturally given to him. He looked out that window for years until he finally broke and was like, I guess this is my life. I'm not going to do that shit. I never have and I never will. Yeah, I'll just give the ungrateful person in my life everything they want. No. And I don't know why we do that. Why? Because you get your dick sucked? Is that it? No, it's not worth it. Because in the generations to come, it causes more damage than it does any good, and it's selfish. You think, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm like, you are. You just can't see it right now. But it's happening and has been going on for a while. Now it's going to take a few generations to swing the pendulum back. It's not going to happen in like 5, 10, 20 years. Oh, no. This is going to take generations. And that's okay. I will be here for a few more decades. So I get to see how things go and it's going to be wonderful. So in the meantime, I'm happy. I'm having fun. I love life. I love you ladies. Just unplug from the nonsense. Stop filling your head full of the fluff. Stop. We know what the problems are. Do something about them. Men, try to lead those women that are, if you're still a dude. And if you're transitioning, go dominate every fucking female sport there is. Just to throw the logic back in the face, because I get a kick out of that. I like seeing these delusional fantasy realities fall flat on their face to people. I get a kick out of that because you can't deny fundamental truths. You can't argue with it. You could turn that cat or dog may be your pet, but you can't. Then you get surprised when it bites you. I can't believe little Skippy bit my hand. He's never done that before. Yeah, it's a fucking dog. And he'll bite you the minute you piss him off because that's what he does. Just like that cat is a natural hunter. They will look out that window at those birds and they will be wanting to be out there hunting because that's what they do. That's their purpose. That's what's within them to do. Your pet, as many fluffy sweaters as you put on them, ladies, will turn on you if it feels threatened by you. It's natural. Don't get surprised when your dog bites you because you're a fucking bitch. And this is why you need men and women to point that out to you, ladies. Have your cute stuff. It won't last forever because everything's temporary. This whole feminized world is temporary. Order and balance are always restored, whether you want it to or not. You know, it's not up to me, and it's not up to you. It's gonna happen, whether one way or another. It just does. That is how things work in this reality, and that's okay. I accept it. It makes my life very content and very much enjoyable, and I look forward to seeing and experiencing more and more wonderful things. So men need women, women need men. We are the yin, we are the yang. We need that yin to our yang, fellas. So don't cast them out. Ladies, let go of those expectations for the dudes. You have everything. Don't take it for granted because it will not be there one day. You will drive the good men away, and they will find a fish, a lady in that water that wants what they want, and the balance will be restored. It always is. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, just do a little bit of history research on your own and just read up on it and figure it out. This is nothing new. It's all been done before. Now we just have fancy cars and huts that we live in. Okay. And gross food. Anyway, I gotta get going. So, ladies, I love you. The answer is not a different man who just, takes you out for fancy dinners and do that. Because even if you get that, you got to ask yourself, that's probably not what you really want. You want a man to lead you. You want a man to respect you and honor you. And if you're dishonored, he stands up for your honor. If anybody disrespects my woman in front of me, I'm going to fucking say something. That's how I am. I don't give a shit if they're a big person or not. I'll stand my fucking ground because I've got balls. A lot of people talk about that, but fortunately, most people aren't put in a situation where they do that. But with real men, there's an unspoken thing where we don't disrespect others' women. We don't. Women like to talk about people and men and women and gossip and all this shit. Men, we don't. We keep respect. Have I been guilty of it? Of course, guys. I'm not fucking saying I've never done it. I'm telling you, though, your life is better the less you do it, if not at all. And men, we just respect other men's women. And even if that man isn't around and you're by their woman, men will stand up for that woman's honor for not the fact that she's a woman, but also because it's your friend's woman. That's how we work. And if women, you want something more and you don't think that's enough and you think that's controlling or manipulative, you have sucked too many dicks of poison that your brain is become scrambled fucking eggs. I don't know if it can be fixed for you. Men can bounce back, kind of. Women, though, I don't know. I don't know. I hope you can, because it's not good for you guys. It's not good for your soul. So I think I'm done talking about men and women again. Work together. And if you're worried, if you're in a relationship and you have that balance and you can feel it and that companion, go through the hard times. They'll be hard, but you can get through it. You become stronger. Go through it. The only way out is through. Can't dodge a bullet. I mean, I guess you can, but you just got to feel it sometimes. Life hits you. No worries. Ladies, be grateful for what you got, because you may not have it one day. It will be gone. Men, Be grateful for the women that put up with your shit because they take a lot. I know. Don't take yourself, too seriously.